everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Lookback, where I go back a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago and tell you about the reviews I did then and what I think about the games now. So we're going to start with last year. I took a look at Palm Trees, which is a game that you can put a sleeve on. You make your hand look like, or arm look like a palm tree, and you hold cards between fingers. It's so one note. And I don't even think it's that fun, but some people may like that sort of thing. Roll and Seek, a memory game with addition of rolling dice. Not a good combination. Bye Bye Mr. Fox. This is a small little game for kids to, you're protecting the animals from Mr. Fox. It's good, but for little kids. Clip Cut Parks. I really like this one. This is a game in which you're cutting up things and building a park out of the papers that you've cut up. There's some pretty cool aspects to this. This is actually one of 2 cutting games that came out over the past year. I don't think this is going to be a trend or anything, but this is the one I liked better. String-a-ma-jig. This is a party game. You have a big string, you make it into shapes, people guess what they are. That's all it is. It's surprisingly more effective than I thought it would be. Guardians of Legends. This is a really weird game in which there's these pictures all over the table and you're kind of giving clues using other pictures to figure out where your treasure is buried. So there's some interesting ideas. The pictures are big. Where's Waldo? There's also apparently a very expensive contest going on with this game. I'm not sure how the coronavirus has affected that, and I haven't heard if anyone has dug up the egg that's hidden somewhere in the world, this golden egg or something. Abandon All Artichokes. This game has gotten a resurgence of popularity in the past few months. The game itself is a good one. It is a card deck building game, kind of card shedding. You're just trying to draw a hand that has no artichokes in it. Very simple, felt different than the other stuff out there. I don't know how often I want to keep playing it, but I enjoyed my plays of it. Fickle, a fairy game. You have these clans of fairies. You use a certain amount each game. They have special abilities. The artwork is gorgeous artwork, and the gameplay I also found to be fun. Cross Clues. Now this is a party game that I really remember. I think it's fun. It's almost like a simpler code names where you have these cross clues and you are putting things in between them where the clues cross, or you're saying a word and people are trying to figure out what crossing of clues that fits. I really like the game. It's a lot of fun trying to figure out how these words, and it's kind of cooperative, and it's the kind of game anybody can play. This one I think will stand the test of time. Ikeon. This is a big, grandiose game that looks a little like a fighting game with these gorgeous miniatures, but it is a straight-up Euro-style game. And in fact, Miss Thea, which was the first game, the games can even be combined, and I think I said in my review I would try the combined form. I still have not at this point in time, but I can. A gorgeous, fun game. Cupcake Academy. I really like this game as you're moving these little cupcakes, and it's kind of like if you've ever played the puzzle where you have a bunch of rings and you need to move them from one to another. It's sort of like that, but it's a bunch of people cooperative with kids and really fun. Also, a year ago I did 8 negative game review and I did an 8 positive game review. I'm not going to jump into all that, but I do want to mention in my 8 positive was Hadara, which has popped up into one of my favorite games of all time. So that's what I did a year ago. 5 years ago, I took a look at Back to the Future, an adventure through time. This is from IDW. There are many Back to the Future games. This one I think may be the worst I played. I just did not like it at all. Titus Tentacle, a kid's game about a giant squid attacking ships. It's okay. Has a funky mechanism, but it's for kids. Take a Train. This is an okay auction. You're trying to get train cards. There's so many train games out there. This one's not about delivering goods as much as it is about auctioning for trains, but I thought it was okay. Jurassic Attack, which I'm still not sure is a name I like, but it's a 2-player game with dinosaurs attacking each other. I thought it was fun and interesting. It just came shy of me, saying it was an approved game, but I think there's some good there. Bastion. This one I wonder if I'll eventually drop to a 6. It's a very good cooperative game, but man, I haven't played it in 5 years either. It's kind of a tower defense as these monsters are coming in, attacking your bastion, and you need to protect them from the same folks who made Viceroy. Android Mainframe. There was a while when Fantasy Flight was really banking on the theme of Android. Android Mainframe was a very abstract style game in this universe. It's a decent game. I almost think it's hurt by the theme more than help. You're just moving walls around, trying to get them to be where you want them to be. 5 years ago, Happy Salmon. It seems longer than that, right? And yet I'd still rank it a 7. You might think, it's a 9 for us. I get that. I really like playing Happy Salmon. It's fun. You know, you're slapping hands, shaking hands. It's like one of the worst games to play during the coronavirus. But it was really, really fun. But it's also really loud. It irritates everyone else in the same room. So there are some negatives to it. But it's also really silly and fun. So I think my 7 is where it's at for me. Animals on Board. This game did not get that much love. People do not talk about it now, but it is a solid game. It looks like a kid's game. It's not. It's about loading your ark full of animals, and you want to have groups of animals because a pair is good, 3 is bad because you want pairs of animals on your ark. Anyway, I really like this game. It's interesting, and if you ever run across it, I would check it out. And Mombasa, an Alexander Pfister game. There's a lot going on in this game. It's basically a stock market game, and there's a lot of stuff going on it that I felt the theme-wise doesn't make any sense at all, but it's solid. I don't know. This one might drop to a 7 for me at some point because I like Maracaibo that much more. All right, let's go back 10 years. 10 years ago, I played Looney Bin. I really dislike this game. I think the art is horrible, the gameplay is bad, and it makes fun of people in a mental institution like in a very unkind way, I thought. Very disappointed with this one. Rising Kings, just a really, really boring card game. Perfect Stride, a game about horses at a horse show. If you like horses, maybe this is worth your time. Flip Out. This one, it's a cool idea. You have this rack of cards with cards, they're two-sided color cards, and you're moving them and flipping them and trying to get the same colors. It's an interesting idea. Very kind of Uno-ish, though, in some sense. It's fine, but I don't know how often I want to play it. Hey, Waiter! This is from R&R Games about moving tokens and delivering stuff. It wasn't bad, but it's also one I haven't played in 10 years. Spot It! This one went up for me a little bit. There's a lot of versions of Spot It. Spot It's very popular. There's a reason Asmodee bought the game outright. You flip over 2 cards, and there's one thing exactly the same on both cards. And there's lots of little games in there. It's for kids. It works well, and some of the themed versions of this are really fun. Double Agent. This is a Bruno Fedudi Ludovic Mablanc game, a 2-player game, nice back and forth game that has kind of faded out of the scene in the past 10 years. But when this came out, I remember thinking, wow, this is a really interesting back and forth game. Why is no one talking about it? I still don't know why. Warlord, Saga of the Storm. I just talked about this one recently. It's one of the few collectible card games that I still have. This is basically Dungeons and Dragons attacking each other. You roll a die. This came out 20 years ago, so I must have played the 10th anniversary edition or something. From AEG, it is no longer in print, although they're doing a special commemorative set this year. I still find this one to be enjoyable. Does it have its flaws? Yes. Bad artwork, slightly clunky, and it's a collectible card game. But I still enjoyed it more than most in this series. And then finally, Confusion, Espionage, and Deception during the Cold War. This is one of the games that put stronghold games on the map for me. A 2-player game in which your pieces all face your opponent. You move the piece. They tell you if that piece is legal. You're trying to figure out what all your pieces are. I really like this game. Slightly knocked down because there's a lot more games that I like in this genre, although this one still is fairly unique and worth checking out. So those are the reviews that I did 1, 5, and 10 years ago. If you want to see more about them, we have links to each one in the description below. Until next time, though, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Look Back on the Dice Tower.